Yeah, I did change, and I'm really glad I changed.
This one's wife. Why does she hug so much? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife has been at it again, doling out the hugs. This time, a young girl with red hair found herself the recipient of an unwanted hug when she attended at Altadena Girls. We saw on Friday this one's wife going around randomly hugging everybody that she met as part of her trauma tourism. She's notorious for this hugging. We've seen it before. For instance, when an individual sought to curtsy in front of her, she decided to grab hold of her. She interrupted a handshake of Harry's at Whistler last year as she hugged the individual who again didn't appear to want to be hugged. Whenever she meets somebody, she invariably seeks to hug them. What's going on? Why do people hug? Well, the hug is a form of comfort, endearment, a greeting, and a demonstration of support. It can manifest, for instance, as a great to see you between two people who know one another well. Or it might be a hug demonstrating affection between, say, a mother and child. Or it could be one of kindness and reassurance to someone who is upset or distressed. It's a form of communication, and it is part of the fact that Homo sapiens is a social species. It is utilized because hugging generates pleasure for both the giver and particularly the recipient. Or, where an individual is distressed, it calms the sympathetic nervous system. It serves a purpose, both in terms of a form of communication to demonstrate, hey, I like you, or hey, I care for you, or I support you. And it also creates a sensation, a feeling, which is pleasant. Or it reduces the sensation of pain. It's generally reserved for people who are not only known to one another, but have an existing relationship that has some degree of depth. For instance, close friends who may well hug one another when they meet one another or on parting. It might be, for instance, family members who hug. Sometimes when they greet one another or just when they're sat together, or a child runs over to a parent for a hug. It may occur between romantic partners. And, as I've explained, it's also utilised where an individual is distressed or upset. And where that happens, it may be the case that the pre-existing closeness is lessened. For instance, a nurse giving a patient a hug. This is the normal position in relation to the utilisation of a hug concerning those who are operating with emotional empathy. This one's wife calls herself a hugger. She likes to present this image that she hugs because she isn't formal, she isn't stuffy like other members of the royal family who might engage with a handshake. She wants to portray herself as being more human because she hugs. She wants to demonstrate that she cares, that she's kind, that she's supportive. But what's really going on with this hugging of this one's wife? What's actually happening? We know that this one's wife is a narcissist, and it's so important to determine what a person is, because in such circumstances, that then enables you to understand why that person behaves as they do and what the driver for that behaviour is. Accordingly, because this one's wife is a narcissist, we know that her behaviour is not actually born out of emotional empathy, for she has none. We know that it's not born out of genuine concern because she doesn't actually care. We know that it's not born out of genuine kindness because she's self-serving and self-absorbed. The hug for this one's wife is a means to assert control over the recipient directly. It is a physical manifestation of control. It is done to draw fuel, the emotional response or reaction of the other individual, which feeds this one's wife. Should they hug her back, that provides her with fuel. If they smile at her after being hugged or say something positive, that provides her with fuel. It is also part of her facade management. I can well imagine that she doesn't go around hugging people behind closed doors because of the rejection of intimacy, and it's not serving any purpose. More likely, she hugs in the performative fashion to which you've become accustomed with this woman, whereby if she's being filmed, seen in public, if she's being photographed, out come the hugs to make her look good. It is the residual benefit of managing the facade. Thus, once again, with this narcissist, her actions towards another person relates to control, fuel, and a residual benefit of facade management. The regularity and circumstances by which this one's wife hugs people demonstrates a sense of entitlement. She will hug you irrespective of whether you want a hug or not. She will hug you irrespective of the relationship between you. She'll hug you if you're a complete stranger. She has no boundary recognition. Many people would be hesitant to hug someone they were not close to. They might make a tentative move towards them and then await a signal to suggest that's okay. For instance, tentatively reaching out with their arm when they can see a person is distressed, and if that person leans into them, they then move to a full hug. But this one's wife never does that. She goes straight in for the face hugger kill straight away. There's no tentative move on her part. The two arms shoot forward, and she grasps that individual, clinging them to her so they cannot escape. Often you'll see the recipient go stiff as a board, or even take a step back from her. But she's not to be deterred. Her narcissism has decided that you are to be hugged, and thus she will. She doesn't recognize the boundary that she offends as a consequence of invading somebody's personal space in this fashion. She just does it. She has no accountability, because even where somebody tries to step away from her, or perhaps even tries to dodge the hug, she still goes for it. It demonstrates a lack of emotional empathy also, because she simply doesn't care whether that person wants to be hugged or not. They're going to get hugged. She doesn't see that she behaves problematic. She doesn't pick up on people's reticence, because basically her narcissism tells her, you're a hugger, so it's okay. That's just the way that you are. You're kind. You're empathic. You are a saint that has floated down from heaven to dispense warmth and comfort to human beings. That exhibits her grandiosity also. Accordingly, she does this regularly because it provides the prime aims, and it is born out of her sense of entitlement, lack of boundary recognition, absence of accountability, and an absence of emotional empathy. There's an element of grandiosity with it also. You'll have witnessed that when she does this hugging, it isn't natural. It looks rigid, it looks awkward, particularly so if the recipient doesn't want to be hugged by her. And this is because there is no actual natural warmth. It is performative, it is mechanical. Her act of hugging isn't driven by genuine concern or emotional empathy. It is driven by her narcissism, and what she replicates is the best approximation of a hug. It's like a robot learning to hug rather than it coming naturally from emotional empathy. She keeps on doing it because it's part of the image that she projects vis-a-vis facade management of being kind, that she believes that people want her to be there, that they somehow feel buoyed, comforted by her presence, even though she's a mediocre actress who just happened to marry a prince. She doesn't have any genuine emotional empathy in the way, for instance, that Diana, Princess of Wales had, or that Catherine, Princess of Wales has, and that many other people exhibit. She uses people as stage props to make her look good. And part of that is going around with this intrusive, mechanical hugging. Let me know what you think about her hugging. And ensure other people are directed to this video, as I've seen many people failing to understand precisely why she behaves in this way. You can help enlighten them. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.